stunning and tragic details on the homicide of Rob Reiner and his wife Michele, and the fact that their 32-year-old son Nick is currently in custody, being charged with a felony in connection to their deaths. This has been, oh my gosh, the most tragic few days in terms of news. I don't think anyone was ready to read these headlines. Now, it has been a process. It has been a process to get details about the death of Rob Reiner and his wife, and I'll go into all of those right here with what we know so far. And it's crazy because when the news first broke, the way that the police had framed it, and in turn the media was framing it, was that there was a double homicide at Rob Reiner's house, but we don't know, or we cannot share with you who died exactly. We know that it is a male and a female, and basically they said the ages of Reiner and his wife, which is 78 years old, that's Rob, and 68 years old, which is Michele. Now, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so if it's a red rum suicide, maybe they haven't gotten a hold of the next of kin, so they can't say much more than that. That's kind of what I thought of. And then I started doing some research, and I saw online a lot of people had already speculated that somehow Nick Reiner could have had something to do with this. I'm just going to put up my tweet from last night. This is the tweet from last night when the news broke, and you can see that it says, 2 people were found inside the Brentwood, California home by director Rob Reiner, blah, blah, blah. The LAPD's robbery homicide division was there, but they aren't confirming who the victims are or how they died. So you can see, once again, LAPD being very, very tight-lipped, not confirming much, but many of us, again, already suspected that it was Rob and his wife. And then, as I was saying before, the reports of Nick Reiner having a history of drugs, mental illness, he battled with homelessness. I think I read something that said he had been in rehab 17 times. And so people started to sort of surmise online that maybe he had something to do with this. I wasn't sure. I, of course, didn't report on anything, but it got me digging. And it wasn't until today, which is December 15th, as I pre-record this episode, that Nick was officially detained and booked in a Los Angeles County jail. And I believe he got, here it is, yes, a $4 million bail. Now, that's a little crazy that if he is being charged with a double homicide, that he can post bail. I mean, look, it's a lot of money. You have to put up about 10% of that. So it's a big chunk of change. However, I mean, letting a guy like that out is pretty wild. But he does not have a criminal record from what I could see. I mean, I guess it would have to be some pretty serious home detention monitoring and just really, really stringent release conditions. But still, I mean, I cannot imagine. So just going back to some of the details, what we know is police were called to the scene at the home a little bit before 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. Now, reportedly, it was one of the Reiner daughters that found her parents. I actually read that it was Tracy Reiner, which is actually Rob's adopted daughter. He was married to Penny Marshall for a while, and this is Penny's daughter. I read it was her in 2 or 3 different reports. And then in another report, I read it was the younger daughter, Romy, who's actually only 27 years old. I read it was her that found her parents. Again, with these ongoing investigations, things are definitely subject to change. When I cannot imagine, how she felt, how she feels, or how she even reacted upon entering this just gruesome and tragic scene, because I'm going to try to say this without getting lost in the YouTube suppression here by saying certain words, but reportedly they were found, Rob and his wife, STABBED, and their throats were cut. So again, I'm very sorry for being blunt, but yeah, that is what is being reported. Now, reports had surfaced a bit later that on Saturday evening, the day before they were found, the three of them, Nick, Rob, and his wife, were at a Christmas party or a holiday party for Conan O'Brien. And Nick and Rob were overheard or seen arguing loudly. Now, Nick had reportedly moved in with his parents after, having some kind of struggle, some kind of issue that he was dealing with. So his siblings, his family, friends, they knew that Nick was living with them. So when the news broke, again, it was reported that they were stabbed after a quote heated argument. I kind of surmised that I wasn't sure. And again, it's December 15th, so we don't know all of the details yet, and we might not know for a while, but I was under the impression that it would be kind of difficult, I guess, for an argument to ensue and then one person to attack two people, killing both of them. Now, of course, this could happen. Anything's possible. But in my mind, I was thinking that maybe it was when they returned home and he possibly killed them in their sleep. And when they didn't answer their phones the next day or answer, text messages, whatever, that one of the daughters went over to do a wellness check. She discovered them and, called the police. So, we're finding out more as the story develops, but this is such a tragedy. And initially, when the LAPD first did a press conference, it was late Sunday evening. They were kind of saying, we don't have anyone in custody. We don't have a person of interest. We don't have any suspects. We're interviewing everyone. And it's an ongoing investigation. And they also said that they kind of weren't really, they didn't say they weren't starting yet. And again, this was late at night, on Sunday evening. They were kind of saying, well, we also need a search warrant to get into the home and start investigating. And I was like, wait, really? I thought because it would be exigent circumstances, like a homicide, that they could just, march in. But that's not the case. In order to search the whole entire house and have all of this hold up one day in court, let's say, they need a search warrant. So they were crossing their T's, dotting their I's, making sure that they had everything in order. But as we know from the David and Celeste case, I mean, the LAPD is going to be tight-lipped. They really are. And this is absolutely no different at all. So as details develop, we will sit tight. We will, wait for police to tell us more, or I guess I should joke and say TMZ to tell us more, or hey, even Los Angeles Magazine as we investigate this. But I also just want to pay tribute to Rob Reiner because I was such a big fan. I mean, all of his movies are so different and also just so brilliant. I mean, he goes from courtroom drama like A Few Good Men to a comedy, When Harry Met Sally, to a thriller like Misery, and then my personal favorite, which is A Princess Bride. I love that movie. And, celebrities and actors were just pouring out support and shock and just emotional tributes to Reiner, including Christopher Guest, who was in The Princess Bride and also married to Jamie Lee Curtis. They were just like, oh my gosh, like we are in complete and utter shock. Ben Stiller had a great post about him. I mean, gosh, the list goes on. So go and watch a Rob Reiner film tonight. Go watch All in the Family. I mean, he's an iconic guy. And you hear the word GOAT, the greatest of all time, thrown around pretty loosely. But when it comes to Rob Reiner, I would say, and I would surmise that, yeah, most people believe that he is definitely the GOAT or one of the GOATs in Hollywood, hands down. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching and thanks for being with us here. And we will keep you updated as this investigation unfolds. I mean, talk about heartbreaking, but again, look for all of the updates here on Los Angeles Magazine. This is our daily pop culture, scandals, and crime news podcast. I'm Lauren Conlin. Thanks for watching.